And we have started the recording. So welcome to the Friday Morning Mindset. So for those of you that are here with me every day, you know that Friday to me is a special day, okay? Why is it a special day? That's because I like to look at Friday different than most every other professional out there. And if my goal in life is to come true by any means, is to get you to feel at least a little bit or see things a little bit the way I do about how the week works, okay? Friday's the day that you should work twice as hard as everybody else because they're only working half as hard. So if you want to get as much out of Friday as you did Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, and Monday, well, you got to work twice as hard because everyone else is working half as hard, right? So if you think about it this way, like I tell you guys, if I hand you a $100 bill and then I said, oh, you know what, I just need 20 of that back. Out of a $100 bill, $20 is a lot. Maybe not out of 1,000, okay? But if I hand you a $100 bill and I say I need $20 back, you're going to miss that $20, but $80 that you have in your hand instead. Well, that's what your week looks like. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. That's 5 segments, okay? Why would you treat any of those differently? In fact, why wouldn't you treat Friday with much more vigor, focus, and enthusiasm? Because if you do that, then you're going to have an equilateral week, and that's what we're trying to do here. So, just like I tell you in every morning mindset, you guys know we do these every morning, okay, Monday through Friday. Get a notebook, get a pen, and write a few things down about what you learned here today. See, I do these mindsets like I tell everybody because I love getting ready for my day, get my mindset, get ready to go, really make an impact, make a difference. Okay, I'm inviting you to feel the same way and to do the same thing. So get a notebook, get a pen, figure out a few things from our mindset today that you can really use to incorporate into the rest of what you're planning for your day and to get your mindset, because it's posture and confidence and self-esteem that will drive your success on any given day. And that starts with getting yourself ready. So let's talk about this. What is today's subject? Today's subject is to keep your ideas and your to-do separate. Now what's fun is yesterday, this was our subject, and my audio wasn't on, and I was bouncing around and doing the best delivery of my life. And all of a sudden I go look at the console, I'm like, oh, my audio's off. So we're doing it again today, okay? So keep your ideas and your to-dos separate. All right, what does that mean exactly? We all have a to-do list. In fact, mine's a monstrously large to-do list. I use Google Calendar to kind of do my calendar and my to-do list. And I was listening, me and my wife on the way to work every morning. We listened to either Tony Robbins or someone. Lately, it's been mostly Tony Robbins, and we're listening to him talk about your list of to-dos and the things that are separate between your to-dos and what your ideas are. And there's a few different things that he said that really kind of affect what I'm going to teach you here today. But what was powerful, what I thought was really useful, all right, was he talked about keeping your ideas and your to-do separate, okay? So, I was like, well, what does he mean by that? So I listened and I really absorbed, I really appreciated this, all right? We always have a number of ideas that we believe are going to help the things that we're doing. If we're in business, if we're a home-based business entrepreneur, or really just a business owner, or in any ways have a challenging job, okay? The reality is there's consistently opportunities for us to take action on things that help our job go better and help us do better with the things that we're trying to accomplish. So these ideas come into our minds, okay? And for example, if you're in direct sales, let's say, I'm going to get around to watching a Sarah Robbins video, and then the information I got in the last video from Eric Worre, I really need to apply those things. I hear that there's a training where I can learn how to actually get out there and use email marketing. I love attraction marketing. I need to learn more about it. Okay, there's just all these things in your mind you believe are going to help you move your business forward, and most of them may. Okay, you want to write your ideas down. Okay, that sounds so basic, but let me explain to you why it's so critical. When you have an idea in your head about your business, write it down so your mind can be clear. Okay, the way Tony put it, and I loved it, was that your conscious mind is like your random access memory on a computer. And if any of you understand how random access memory works, you have the opportunity in your RAM on your computer for the information from your hard drive to be held or suspended for quick recall. Okay, so if you'll ever notice, like when you clean your computer or if you reinstall an operating system, everything seems to come up really slow, but then it starts coming up really fast. Okay, so that RAM is more like that data recall. It's quick, it's instantaneous. Well, if you've got all these ideas sitting around in your head, okay, because normally, okay, let me give you an example and then I'll explain what I mean here. One of my examples is I'm working on something really important. Okay, I surf away from the web page, take a phone call, make a few notes. It's like 3 hours later, I sit back down. I'm like, oh my goodness, I was working on this. Why didn't I finish it? Maybe I'm 5 minutes from a deadline where I had to get something done, or maybe the deadline has passed. Okay, how many of us deal with this? Well, it's natural that these things happen because life comes at us in curves, not in straight lines. We talked about that in some of my other mindsets. So as that goes, we have this inability in our minds, right, to handle all of the information around us at all times. So when we have something in our mind we want to remember, we just bring it back. We got to remember to do that. Got to remember to do that. I got to remember I'm going to go do this. Oh, I got to have that training done. I know I really thought that Sarah Robinson was important. I can't do it right this minute, but it was important. So we keep it in our random access memory, and it's just taking up all this room. It's clogging up our brains. Okay, so write it down. When you got an idea for your business, find somewhere that makes sense to you. A notebook, okay, maybe the notepad on your iPhone, maybe you're keeping a traditional to-do list, whatever it is, okay? Keep record, all right? Keep record of it somewhere and just get it out of your head. Get it onto paper, okay, because you need that RAM to be clear. Let me explain to you why this is so critical. I'm a huge believer in psychology, in personal psychology, and understanding how the mind works. Okay, I'm a huge believer in that. And what I can tell you very clearly, like let's say when I read books, I read a tremendous number of books. Okay, I really purposely make sure I've got enough time during the week to do it, as busy as I am. And when I'm reading, I try to make sure there is nothing else in my brain at all, that I don't have anything going on, that I'm reading and I'm imprinting from the words that are coming off that page as seriously, directly, and vividly as I can. And there's a big reason why I'm doing that, okay? Not because I'm going to remember every single word I read. Okay, that is arbitrary to the real reason. Okay, it's not because I'm going to remember everything. It's because I know if I keep a nice, clear channel to what it is that I am looking at, to what it is that I'm actually reading, and I see it vividly, dimensionally, colorfully, fully, completely in my mind as I read, and there's nothing else in there, that it's going to make the largest impression on my neurology, and my memory banks are going to be much more filled from that experience. Yes, you can read an entire page on a book and not even remember what you read sometimes when your brain is occupied. How many of you read a whole paragraph on a page and then you went back and you're like, what in the heck did I just read? How many of you done that? I've done that, and I'll stop and I'll clear my mind and I'll be like, all right, let's read that one again slowly, right? So my point is, when your mind's clear, when that random access memory, that quick recall is clear, you got a clear channel between what you're focusing on and what impressions or imprints are being made. Now, let me tell you a big secret for sales, okay? When you're in that mode and your mind is clear and you're having a conversation with somebody, first of all, when you don't have a bunch of other things jumbled around in your brain and you're listening to someone talk, you are hearing more from what they say than you could ever hear if you had other things occupying your mind. They're making a larger impression on you. You're getting to know them faster. Okay, the whole point in a sales call in general is to get to know the person you're talking to very well and see where there's similarities between your sales style, yourself, and them, your product, your opportunity for them to benefit from your product, and their perspective. Okay, so if you're getting a full imprint from them talking and you're keeping that channel clear, all right, you're going to be able to do much better at understanding the person you're talking to. And it's those finer details. Okay, it's not just about managing your time and doing things better during the time that you're working. It's about managing that attention that you give to the moment that you're in so that you can bring in the strongest number of perceptions and be able to output in the same fashion. And this is what I mean by that. You're done listening to the person talk. You saw things very vividly in your mind. You haven't let a bunch of your other stuff, your ideas, your worries and everything else basically get into your brain while you're listening because you took time to write them down. Okay? The reality is when you speak back to the person that you're making a sale to or who you're collaborating with, maybe it's a team member and you're talking about training in the company, whatever it might be, at that point, your clarity and your actual discussion, your words come through with such impact because you're staying in the moment and you're staying clear that anything they may have in their mind that's cluttering them up will, just like a tuning fork. If you hit a tuning fork on the ground and put it next to another one, they both start to resonate. They will be affected by your perception of that focus, and they will listen more intently. You ever talk to somebody and for whatever reason, even though most of the time you're very distracted in other conversations, that one particular individual somehow just stopped you from being distracted, and you listened, and your mind absorbed the words that they were saying. It's because just like that tuning fork, they brought that broad, powerful perception of focus over to you across the phone, across the chair, whatever it is, sitting on a couch at their home, doing a home presentation, whatever it might have been, you were greatly impressed by their words. Okay, a lot of times we look at people like this, we're like, wow, these guys are amazing. They're professionals. They're incredible speakers. They're very good at explaining things. Well, let me tell you, the one thing they mastered that is not that difficult to master, and it's the core foundation of great communication, is that they kept their mind clear when you spoke, and they spoke keeping their mind clear to you. And let me talk about what that means, to keeping your mind clear when you speak to others. Okay, this will be fun. I want you guys to do this sometime after the mindset because it'll make you laugh. When I think about the words I'm going to say to somebody, okay, let's just say it's your spouse, your girlfriend, your son, a friend, okay, try it on somebody you know. Think about the words you're going to say to them. What you'll notice is that when you think about it, you have a couple of short sentences that'll come up into your mind, a couple of different images about a subject, but in all degrees, it's kind of a very short perspective. It's like you can't really dialogue the entire thing in your mind unless you start pretending you're having the conversation with them, right? If you're thinking about, okay, what am I going to say to my boss? What am I going to say to my wife? What am I going to say to my son? If you start thinking of that perception, we can kind of come up with a little bit of subject matter, but our conscious mind is funny. Okay, that is not where our personality comes from. Okay, but then when you go to speak with your wife, your husband, your child, and you start to talk just like I'm speaking to you now, get through 2 minutes of dialogue and then stop for a minute and go, where did that all come from? Where did all my words come from? How did I know to just talk so clearly, so fluently, so completely? Where did all this sentence structure come from? When I was thinking about what to say, I could only see a few sentences or a couple of subjects or a few ideas, these fleeting images in my mind about how I'm going to present. But when I started talking, man, it was going and flowing and being. I was on it. My words were coming to me like they were coming out of nowhere. Let me tell you why. Because when your conscious mind is clear, your subconscious and unconscious mind, which is, by psychology, considered to be close to 90% of your thinking brain, okay, was free to conduct itself from the totality of the person that you are. The more clear your mind is, the better communicator you become, the better presenter you become, the more confidence they have, the more self-esteem that you have. Okay, that's why when we start thinking about what we're going to say to people or thinking about how we're going to feel, we start getting nervous. We start getting insecure because our conscious mind, being only 10% of our total personality, our total being, is not even capable of discourse and dialoguing and explaining things the way we really can as a person. You ever been around a person who's really got a lot of confidence and you're nervous about something? Let's say maybe both of you are about to talk on stage or both of you are about to go into a phone call and you're like, man, I don't know. I haven't really talked to people before. This seems like my first time. And they say, don't think about it. You ever have so, or you tell yourself, I'm just not going to think about it. I'm just going to do it. Okay, even within our own language and construct, we already know the answer. Okay, just keep your mind clear. Learn to bring impressions onto your brain very vividly. Okay, when you're learning something, try to see it in total, big picture, 3D, full color. Make that your objective, to put those impressions in tight, because your unconscious mind and subconscious, they don't forget anything. It's only your conscious mind that does, because it's inferior to the whole mechanism. If you learn completely and then act with a clear mind, your progress will be incredible. So your idea list should be freely added to, but your to-do list needs to be carefully considered. Do what matters. So let's get back to the subject at hand, now that we kind of talked a little bit about that, why it's important. Keep a list of your ideas, but those are not your to-dos. A lot of people get those mixed up, okay? Just because there's a bunch of ideas around what you think you should do, you always got to calculate what it is that you're going to do and why. Okay, you want to do the things that help you fulfill yourself towards the goals that you have in your life. My point is that you want to get yourself in a position where you're not convinced every time you have an idea that it's a to-do. Because you really only need to do the things that move you towards your goals. Okay, whatever your ideas are, watch this training, apply this training over here, you know, maybe go in and try to do something different in social. It doesn't matter what it is, just write them all down. And then carefully consider whether they should become a to-do. Okay, the reason why people's to-do list becomes so cluttered is because in the moment, man, they seem important. 3 days later, for some reason, the subject changes and they look back at their to-do list and they're like, oh, I don't even need to do that now. How many of you have done that? How many of you have put together a to-do list and then 3 days, 3 weeks, 3 months later, when your life just continued down moving towards what you want in life, you go back and you just cross off half of them because they just don't matter anymore? What a waste of time, because let me tell you, the to-do list is important. Because the to-do list is based on what you're planning to do. Your to-do list is important because those are the things you need to do to get to the things that matter and achieve the goals in your life. Okay? So put all of your ideas on an idea list and then carefully move them to your to-do list and analyze them directly. Even if you want to do it, does it help you get what you want in life? Okay? For example, I want to study Sarah Robbins' 2-hour training on Facebook on Facebook for MLM. Let's say that's what I want to do. But really, I should probably be focused on learning how to do 3-way calls, because I need to get more distributors and I need to be communicating with people more and getting them into the business. So really, that's a higher priority on my to-do list. So when you've got all your ideas, you've got to score them against your priorities, because everything you do needs to move you towards the things that you want. You always have to think with the end in mind. What am I trying to accomplish? Where am I trying to go? Does this idea fit into exactly where I'm trying to go before all of these other ideas, or should it basically be put on a list of things that maybe eventually I will do? Manage these lists separately. All right, so take some information that we brought you here today, write it down, the things that really affected you the most, what you think you can really apply to how you plan to spend what? The most important day of the week, right? Fridays. We're going to work twice as hard today, and let's get our mindset. Let's get out there. Let's make some money. Let's make magic happen. Let's build relationships. Let's love people deeper. Let's do the things that matter the most, and let's just have a bang going into the weekends. And of course, as you know, I will be right back here again on Monday morning. Thank you for joining.